I'd like to give you a quick update on our work to find solutions to problems in Oregon and Washington, D.C. Last week, the House of Representatives approved on a bipartisan basis an historic forestry bill, something I've worked on for 3.5 years. The Restoring Healthy Forests for Healthy Communities Act, H.R. 1526. Now, this legislation renews the federal government's commitment to actively manage federal forests, which will create jobs in our rural communities in the woods, improve forest health, reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfire, and generate revenue for local communities to provide essential local services such as schools and law enforcement. This measure also included some bipartisan Oregon-specific legislation written by Representatives DeFazio, Schrader, and myself in the O&C lands in western Oregon. I want to thank you for your letter of support for this legislation. But remember, this much-needed legislation is not across the finish line yet. Now is the time to tell the United States Senate that it's time to fix our broken federal forest system. It was great to see people across the state and the political spectrum, including 26 county commissions and numerous organizations, including the National Association of REALTORS, come together and get this legislation passed for our rural forested communities. Back to the budget talks. The Ways and Means Committee, which has oversight of the tax code, is working closely with House leadership on a broad outline of tax reform proposals. We all know our tax code has gotten way too complex and burdensome. In fact, it's caused the United States companies to hold on to cash abroad because it's cheaper to do that than bring it back here and invest at home. So the House is working to find innovative ideas to reform and simplify our tax code that will grow our economy. Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Dave Camp, has been working hard, listening to what Americans want their tax code to look like. I'm looking forward to seeing the specifics of what he proposes. But one thing's for sure, we must make sure that any changes do not adversely affect the housing market, which is only now starting to come back. I also know I've heard from a few of you regarding legislation being written by the House Financial Services Committee, the so-called PATH Act. I think we're all in agreement that something needed to be done to reform Fannie and Freddie. And while they have been making payments back to the government in the last year, they're not sustainable in their current form. Taxpayers, in fact, paid out nearly $200 billion to bail out these two biggest GSEs. And the federal government now is on the hook and controls about 86% of the mortgage market. I want to encourage private sector investment, not government takeovers. But again, I do not support sudden changes that leave us without a viable secondary mortgage market. While we are all in agreement that we must decide on a permanent long-term solution that encourages investment in the mortgage market, the devil is in the details. So I hope you'll continue to contact me with feedback on the PATH Act and on other legislation being written in Congress. How would you like to see Freddie and Fannie taken out of conservatorship? What solution do you feel will encourage the private market, allowing the government to take a back seat? I'm looking forward to those conversations that we'll have over the next few months while Congress debates the best solution for the mortgage market. Thanks again for allowing me to share these words and views. I wish I was able to be there in person with you, and I look forward to the next time that our paths cross.